Lovely, delightful weather covering a good chunk of the Northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states. Low humidity and sunshine will continue for a while longer, but you don't have to go too far if you want a steam bath. Just head south, where we have some high humidity and some scattered thunderstorms around. But no, it appears at least that there's nothing major that's going to be going on this week across the U.S. However, we can make it sound even the least exciting weather. We can make it sound exciting right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. If you shop on Amazon, use our referral link that's on the description to this podcast. And you can find that by looking at where the title is on YouTube and going right underneath it. And there's a little paragraph there that tells you what the show is about tonight. Well, the link to Amazon is there. And it really helps because you do your shopping, doesn't cost you anything. Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And what that does is I can keep commercials off the live part, the live stream part of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And I know most of you like that, do like that. So thank you for those of you who have done your Amazon shopping using our referral link. And Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. I have one. It's easy to install. It's on my deck and everything is on my mobile device. So I have all my data conveniently in front of me. The link for this tonight is pinned to the top of the chat board. And if you purchase this or anything else from the Tempest from the Tempest website, use the coupon code that we have for you, a special coupon code from the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, summer 2025. Because if you do, you will get
10% off.
Yes, indeed. So are you basking in the humidity, the low humidity and the deep blue sky and sunshine and everything that goes with it?
Well, let me just say it was not a beautiful clear sky today. We had scattered to broken cloud cover, and in the
Right.
areas where the clouds were not, present, it really wasn't all that blue a sky. I did check afterwards that there was some smoke, some airborne smoke from Canada, but a secondary cold front is going to be working its way through. It's even working its way through as I speak to you now. That will bring in hopefully an even more transparent or clearer sky overnight into tomorrow. So tomorrow should be a great day. Probably what I would refer to as the pick of the week. That would be tomorrow, probably with sunny to maybe partly cloudy, fair weather clouds in the sky and temperatures right around 80, pleasantly warm, dew points in the 50s. It's just going to be an all around great day tomorrow, Joe.
It certainly is. And I had a nice day today. Although I will tell you, so I've been talking about the fact that I have been landscaping my yard and we've been working pretty much every day since the beginning of May. And I thought I was done. And then I found another spot in the yard that said, you know what? It could use a flower bed. So I spent yesterday running around the mountains collecting rocks and I made my flower bed. And today was a matter of digging holes and planting plants and putting rocks in. Now, thankfully, it was in morning shade, but it's starting to wear a little thin, Joe. I was really, and I'm not that out of, a little. Everybody's a little is a bit below what their peak physicality is, but the heat got to me to some extent. I had to literally stop and just sit there and get my breath back. But it's done, it's finished, and I'm happy. So, and we had a nice day here overall. A couple of drops, literally a couple of drops of rain in a few spots, and it got to mid 80s by me. I haven't had many 90-degree days this month. An odd one here and an odd one there, but it's been mostly middle 80s here for middle and upper 80s for highs. At least where my house is.
Well, it turned out to be a day today which, as I said, was reasonably good. But later on in the week, and I mentioned this yesterday, that folks at the Climate Prediction Center put out a special statement concerning the extreme heat in the nation's midsection. I had mentioned that here in the Northeast, we were going to probably avoid the worst of it. Well, we are going to avoid the worst of it in terms of the protracted spell, the day after day after day after day of extreme heat. But that's not to say we're not going to see any extreme heat. It looks
Right.
like Friday we're probably going to be seeing temperatures here in the tri-state area, especially away from the coast. Temperatures could soar to the upper 90s on Friday. And then over the weekend, we talked about a cold front that's going to be dropping southward through the Northeast. And that's going to
That
probably generate, yeah,
No, I was going to
go ahead.
say that particular front. I've been following the European model runs for the last couple of days. That particular front has a pretty deep, an even drier and cooler air mass than this one.
Well, the thing is that it looks like it's going to take its sweet time in moving through the Northeast and could very well be close enough to the tri state area to induce at least a risk of shower and scattered thunderstorm activity for both Saturday and possibly even Sunday as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying once that goes by next week, there's another dry air mass behind it that's going to come in. This is going to be a 3 day, basically a 3 day heat wave, if you want to call a 3 days a heat wave.
Well, yeah, if you want to look at it from that point of view. But again, for all of you in the nation's midsection, I know Miss Spallerite, for example, is in the Kansas City area, and she has been over the last few days both on my Facebook page and also on the chat board talking about how the heat warnings are up, and it's going to be like probably a very difficult stretch of weather. And we here in the Northeast will have at least one of those kind of days coming up to finish out the week on Friday. But leading into that, as you just mentioned, Joe, great day today, great tomorrow, a bit more humidity, but not intolerable on Wednesday. Back we go to kind of a muggy day on Thursday, and then Friday it's three H's with a capital letter H on
Right.
each one. Haze, hot, humid, with temperatures again well up into the 90s.
Tropics are quiet, so we don't have that to worry about. And there are a few places that are dealing with thunderstorms and heavy rain and some pockets of flash flooding, but it's not widespread and covering a whole bunch of states. It's a few areas here and there, which we'll get to in a moment. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background on this Monday night Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. As we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. I feel a day off coming soon, so I don't know if it's going to be Thursday or Sunday. So we'll let you guys we'll let you know um, in the next couple of days which one it will be. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you can find out when we're not here. And of course, if you like the show, hit the like button because we love it when you like the show. So, are you ready to go, Mr. Rayo?
All set. Here we go.
Okay, so let's get going here, and we'll start off with tonight's watches and warnings. And you can see where the heat is really concentrated up and down the Mississippi River Valley and the Missouri River Valley, mainly the middle and lower, and back into the plains, into Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. The purple that you see here in central and eastern Kansas, and through much of Missouri. Into parts of Illinois, western Tennessee, western Mississippi, eastern Arkansas into northeast Louisiana. That's all extreme heat warnings that are up. Otherwise, we've got heat advisories surrounding that, heat advisories in parts of central and south Georgia, South Carolina, and into North Carolina. We still have some flash flood watches in southeast Kentucky and southwest Virginia. We have a few flash flood watches in southeast Nebraska and northeast Kansas, and a couple of flood advisories in north central Missouri. Flash flood watches in northeastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin, uh, up and down the I-25 corridor in New Mexico, where we've got some flash flood watches there. And we have severe thunderstorm watches and a few severe thunderstorm warnings up for parts of eastern Montana into the westernmost part of the Dakotas and the northeastern corner of Wyoming. So that pretty much kind of sizes it up. Not a whole lot of activity from the standpoint of lightning strikes tonight. If we take a look at the satellite loop, you'll see that there's some storms that have fired up in Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and in southern Kentucky. There's actually a cell to my west, if I'm looking where the lightning strikes are, but that's moving southward, so that's not coming to me. And all the other thunderstorms that you see are actually to my south, so no danger of me losing power while we're on the air. And the Northeast is quiet. There's some little air streaks of clouds across southern New York and northern Pennsylvania. You could almost pick out where the dry line, the dew point line, is racing southeastward through Ohio and Pennsylvania. So we should see a nice drop in the humidity as we go through the overnight period. Skies are fairly clear across the Great Lakes. Also, much of the Gulf states, really not a whole lot happening, and you can see some lightning strikes firing up in on the Mexico side of Arizona, as well as some scattered storms in New Mexico and in southern Colorado. But again, nothing really widespread. The weather over most of the country is fairly nice for the most part. Here's the activity that's in the south, and there's kind of this snaky line of storms running just south of Nashville and well north, but not too far north of Chattanooga. And that area is moving to the south. So I'm wondering how much of that holds together for me for the overnight. Maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. And then we have a busier area in in north central Kansas, Joe, where we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings there, as well as a little line that's down in southern Kansas, extending into the Oklahoma Panhandle and in northwest Texas. Some flash flood watches that are up in parts of New Mexico. A couple of flash flood warnings in the green boxes, and one little green box there in central Colorado where we've got flash flood warnings. The radar in the west, I just pulled it out to the wide shot. Looks, kind of, not that it looks strange, but there's an upper trough that's coming to the west, and there's a well-defined. You can see this line of showers that runs from western Montana through Idaho into northwestern Nevada and into California, in a sort of narrow line. Really kind of picking out some kind of weather front that's moving there. Uh, Usually, you see these kind of signatures more in the winter months, where they're much better defined. Not so much in the summer. That shows up pretty well there, Joe, on the radar.
It sure does. It sure does. Absolutely. And, the situation here in the Northeast, I think for a good part of the week, Joe, in fact, maybe all of this week, we're going to go without seeing any precipitation. The front, which we had alluded to earlier in the show, will be dropping southward. I really don't think we're going to have to worry about any thunderstorms during the day on Friday, but maybe Friday night or more likely Saturday. And again, depending upon the speed and movement, perhaps spilling over into Sunday as well, there will be some widely scattered showers and also thunderstorms to deal with. But up until, let's say, later Friday or Friday night, I think we're going to have a pretty dry week here.
Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk tonight across Montana and into the Dakotas. Otherwise, it's marginal risk in the rest of the plains and in the upper Midwest, and a marginal risk covering parts of the southeast from western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee down through Georgia and South Carolina. But these are isolated severe thunderstorms, and even the thunderstorms that aren't severe are, they're not exactly dominating the radars. So I would say the vast majority of folks probably won't see much of anything. And of course, you see the Northeast and Mid Atlantic back to Ohio and in the Great Lakes, just absolutely no thunderstorm risk at all. Tomorrow, it's a slight risk up in North Dakota and Minnesota. That's going to come with a 2% tornado risk and a marginal risk in central and south Georgia and into South Carolina. Northeast, Mid Atlantic, back to Ohio and Michigan, nothing. And then for day 3, this is Wednesday into Thursday, the area of no thunderstorms actually expands on Wednesday from Maine all the way down into South Carolina. and all the way west back through Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa. You've got a slight risk in southern Minnesota, northeastward across northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan, and a marginal risk from northern Colorado on northward up into southeastern Montana. And as far as rainfall is concerned over the next 7 days, so this takes us to next Monday night. Uh, not a whole lot showing up in the Northeast down through New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. Mostly a quarter of an inch or less, although we've got a few exceptions with these little blue spots in southeastern New England, another one in northeast Pennsylvania, another one up in north central New York, where it's a half to three quarters. It's all thunderstorm dependent. And I don't think, from what I'm seeing, it's not like we had last week where you had that long stretch with a saturated atmosphere and days of 70 plus dew points. This is going to be a shorter lived regime of steamy conditions. So I'm thinking, yeah, could there be some heavier thunderstorms that produce some locally heavy rains when we get to the point that we're going to be talking about them in the forecast over the weekend? I suppose it's not impossible, but it doesn't look to me like it's any kind of widespread type thing to worry about.
And yeah, I would agree with you on that, Joe. It's nothing, nothing really to be overly concerned. Let's put it this way: I wouldn't sweat this.
Yes. Gulf Coast moisture is abundant, though, and that's where we have anywhere from an inch and a half to some 3 and 3.5 inch amounts from Florida west through Louisiana into a small portion of southeast Texas. Also, some big rains across Minnesota into northwest Wisconsin and in the upper peninsula of Michigan. Half to three quarters of an inch with pockets of an inch and a half in the Ohio Valley and up and down the Appalachians. So, looking ahead, as we just take a look at what's going on in the upper atmosphere with troughs and ridges and all those fun things. We've got a trough in the east that's lifting out, upper high building across the south, and that's going to push the ridge line pushes up into southern New England. By the time we get to Thursday and Friday, that brings the heat back, especially for Friday. But those westerlies from Canada are not that far away. And the ridge kind of gets flattened out to some extent and then begins to strengthen over Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. So that's going to allow more of a northwest flow to drop into New England. And you can see how uh, the increasing area of blue with an upper low that crosses Hudson Bay and drops down into Labrador, you get a pretty nice, strong northwest flow for, say, starting from maybe Tuesday of next week and beyond. So it'll be another shot of decent dry air here. Actually, in some places, if you take this literally, up places across interior New York and interior New England could actually be quite cool with this. Then that lifts out, but we still have troughing in the east, interestingly enough. The European wants to bring troughs down and upper lows down into eastern Canada as we go into the month of August. That'd be kind of interesting to see if that holds up. August, if this kind of pattern holds up, now it's a long way from the 1st of August till the end of the month, clearly. But if there's is going to be this tendency for troughs to be in the eastern half of North America, uh, you're going to probably have some pretty decent shots of cool, dry air coming in, and any heat and humidity would be limited to a couple of days here and a couple of days there.
Well, it looks like there could be the turning point, if you will. Looks to me like it could be around the 29th or 30th of this month. That would be a week from tomorrow or Wednesday. And you're right. After that, it looks like we could be in line for some cooler temperatures, at least here in the Northeast. The rest of the country will be, I won't say sweltering, but they'll be above normal with especially places like in Kansas and Oklahoma. They will still be dealing with extreme temperatures, but for us, yeah, it looks like we could end up this month of July on a cooler note, and that sweeps on into the start of the month of August.
Trying to find, I'm looking at the ensembles. because I haven't really looked at these in a while. But like the zero Z ensemble runs in the GFS go out to like 840 hours, but they didn't run them today. Or if they did, they haven't posted yet. I mean, if they did run them, but sometimes it's late to go to Tropical Tidbits. I'm just going to go back to you Sunday. Okay, so Sunday they're here. So I'm just looking, just want to, for laughs, going forward into August 9th and 10th and 11th and so on. I mean, there's general troughing in the east, and but it's not anything overly impressive. But I would not expect it to be on the ensembles going out that far. So anyway, that was a wasted exercise. I just wanted to take a look. I was kind of curious to see what it had. So back to the U.S. of A. as we look at the operational run of the European today, and we see that, as Joe pointed out, not a not a whole lot of thunderstorm activity at all over much of the nation. Tomorrow, you can see those areas there. Hold on, let me just back it up. Whoa, there we go. So as we go into tomorrow, you see, just some areas in Minnesota and up in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and also some showery rains and downpours in parts of the southeast. But the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states and the Ohio Valley are fine. We move into the end of the week, we get into that west-southwest flow. Here comes a weather front. On Friday, most of the storms get hung up in upstate New York and up in Pennsylvania. Uh, then they disappear, and then they fire up during Saturday. Looks like the frontal boundary is lying right across southern New England and to about Long Island and northern New Jersey. And it's still there on Sunday when we get a little bit of a stronger front that comes through. And then here comes the more important front, which comes along about next Tuesday with some showers and storms. And it's behind that one that we have a really decent shot of cool, dry air. It's not often you see high pressures in the 1025-ish range this time of year, but that's what you kind of have with this. And that brings down a pretty decent shot of dry air for the middle part of next week. So, as far as precipitation events and tropical events and so on, there really isn't much happening from that respect. So we're just going to move along here in the pattern that we have. And while we've got the low humidity, the advice I would say is to just enjoy it.
Yes, it doesn't happen very often. But again, before the time we get that between the time we get that nice dry airflow, which you said, Joe, would be, and what I said would be like a week from tomorrow or Wednesday. Before we get there, we're still going to have to put up with that one shot of extreme heat that
Yeah.
probably will be at the end of this week.
Yeah, and even Saturday's probably going to be like 90 to 95.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the case. I can tell you that the record high at the Westchester Airport on Friday is 95, and I went on my Lower Hudson Valley forecast for Friday 98. So I'm thinking that we could very well break records locally. And of course, naturally, if it gets to 98, let's say at Westchester Airport, you know that at Newark Airport or Teterboro Airport, it's probably going to be like 102, 103 on
Right,
Friday.
right. All right, let's do Briller Jeopardy, shall we?
Yes, and I got a message from the chairman
Yeah.
who congratulated me, actually. I said, you remember yesterday, the bonus question on Briller Jeopardy was what was the hottest temperature ever recorded in Nantucket or on Nantucket Island? And it turned out that the answer was 100 on August 2nd, which happens to be my birthday, August 2nd, 1975. And that was a Saturday. And I said yesterday that I remember that on that particular day, not only did they break records left and right across central and northern New England, central and southern New England, but I said I'm sure that this was the case. I just don't have any time to look and check to make sure that this was indeed the case. But I said I was sure that Mount Washington probably set their all-time record high temperature on that day, August 2nd, 1975. And I said, I think it was around 70. Well, Scott wrote to me earlier today and said, congratulations, great memory. The record high, all-time record high at Mount Washington was indeed on that August day, August 2nd, 1975, not 70, 72 degrees,
Wow.
all-time high temperature at Mount Washington.
Well, let's see what you can do with the ones today, shall we?
Surely.
All right. So the first one, now we're still doing the average number of 90-degree days, June through August, in these five cities. And we're going to start with Buffalo.
Buffalo. That's it's a little tricky because of their location relative to the Great Lakes. It always could be a little cooler than what you think. Then again, Buffalo could also sometimes be hot, have a number of hot days. I'm going to say for Buffalo, blah, 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 blah. How about 16? Hello?
I'm here. I just did a sigh. I'm your guess, and I'm looking at the guesses on the chat board. Okay. And you're all so high. Harold Olson, 50 times in
50
Buffalo.
times?
Okay. But I will tell you that it's in single digits, and the closest is
Well, Miss Spallright has 8.
no, Latex Dreams has 5. And that's still too high. So
You're
there you
kidding me.
go.
Really?
Yes. Now, I admittedly, when I saw this, I was a little taken aback. Tyler Finger just nailed it when so did Frank R. and David Fuller with 3. After David Fuller, initial guess was 20. So I just want to put that out there, David. But the answer is 3. Now,
The chairman says the record high is 99 in Buffalo.
right, but the average number of 90-degree days, June through August, in Buffalo is 3. So it's conceivable that Buffalo, probably in more summers than not, never gets to 90 degrees when you look back at the records. Now, here's a city that gets to 90 degrees. And remember, the highest it can be is 92. All right, because there's 30 days in June and 31 each in July and August. So the highest number that you can give for any city is 92. So we're doing Dallas. Dallas.
Well, yesterday we said for Austin, Texas, 82. And I would say Dallas is a bit higher. I'm going to go with WCBS News Radio, 88.
Nope, that's too high.
Okay.
That is too high for Dallas. And I'm just seeing from some of the other choices here. Maggie P. No 90 is, pretty much at the top of the range. Frank R. gets it. Frank R. 79. 79.
That's even less than Austin.
Yes. Well, Dallas is north of Austin by a
Okay.
by a fair distance. So that probably compensates to some extent. Hartford. Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, I'm going to say for Hartford, I will say 14.
All right, well, that's not a bad guess. David Scott nails it at 17. 17. And Anthony got it also at 17. All right, next. Honolulu. Honolulu.
Honolulu.
Honolulu.
Honolulu. Well, they're surrounded, Oahu, which is the island that Honolulu is on, surrounded by relatively cool Pacific Ocean water. And I would not think that they would see 90 too many times. I think they'd see a lot of 87s and 88s, but 90 doesn't, I don't think, happen too often. Now, does it happen as often or as frequently as let's say Buffalo. I'm going to take a shot at that. I'll say 4.
No, that's way too low. Frank Scalera got it. 19.
Okay.
Unless that was his Hartford pick. Because, because I'm getting numbers that are almost the same. But 19 for Lulu. Okay, next, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. How about 62?
Good guess. It's a little low. It's a little low with 62, but it's not too far off. Okay, guys, got to bring the numbers up a little bit. Carol DeCara is very close, and Mr. Croce is is very close. Steve Lapointe is even closer, with 65 and 66 respectively. Tyler Frenga, you're a little warm with 69. Northern Grace, you're a little warm, but not that much above the number at 68. So Mansour Croce and Mr. Cardillo at 67, Joe, 67. And finally, what was the highest temperature ever recorded in Atlantic City? Now we have two numbers here. Okay. So this was, I'll just give you the date. It was June 28th, 1969. So what was the airport high? And then we have the Atlantic City Marina high. So Northern Grace, Joe, just got the Atlantic City Marina high at 103.
Okay, so Pomona, which is 10 miles inland from the coast, that's where the airport is. The question is, would they be even hotter than that inland? Yeah, I would. How about well, New York City, LaGuardia is 107, New York City Central Park 106, Atlantic City. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhere in the 106, 107 category. I'll say 107.
And you should have said 106, like Rich Rothmansky, Frank R., and Michael McGuire, and Mark D42 said. 106.
Wow.
106. And there you have it. So that's pretty much it. I got nothing else going on. All I know is I'm going to bed early tonight. I am very tired. I'm going to eat a nice. The peaches here have been phenomenal, and I bought another batch on Saturday, and they're outstanding. So I'm going to get my softball sized peach, and I'm going to enjoy it right now with a glass of wine, and that's going to be my evening. So everybody have a great night. Mr.
And
Rayo,
we'll
have
tell
a
you,
great night.
and we'll tell you whether or not it'll be Thursday or Sunday that we'll have a day off.
Or both. You never know.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Okay. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:35. Have a great rest of your evening. Night, night.
Good night, folks.